Welcome to our deep dive on generalized anxiety disorder.
GAD.
GAD, exactly.
You got it.
We're using, as our guide today, the National Institute of Mental Health's publication,
The NIMH?
the NIM publication, Generalized Anxiety Disorder, When Worry Gets Out of Control.
Such a great resource.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to kind of get a solid grasp on GAD.
Beyond the basics.
Beyond just the surface.
Definitely.
We're not here to diagnose anyone,
Right.
but to explore, what GAD is and how it's addressed.
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
We all worry sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Part of the human experience.
Well, where's that line between, everyday worries
Yeah.
and GAD?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think that the difference really lies in the persistence of that worry
Okay.
and how much it impacts your life.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
think about everyday worries as fleeting visitors,
Okay.
right? They pop in. They say hello, they move on.
Yeah.
GAD is that house guest who just kind of overstays their welcome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Constantly there,
Yeah.
casting a shadow over your routine, your work, your relationships.
Okay.
There's even a case in the NIMH publication where
Yeah.
this woman was so physically exhausted from worry that she could barely function.
Wow.
It's powerful.
I wouldn't have connected fatigue with anxiety,
Right.
but it makes sense.
It does.
The toll it takes.
Yeah.
It takes on your mind and your body.
Yeah, so I guess it really highlights that difference between feeling anxious sometimes
Yeah.
versus having GD.
It's a big one. And it's a common misconception that GAD is just this mental thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It can manifest in very real physical ways.
Okay.
It impacts your whole well-being.
So it's not just about the amount of worry,
Right.
but also how deeply
It affects your ability to actually live your life.
your quality of life, exactly.
Okay.
And, it's also worth noting that GAD often develops gradually, typically emerging around the age of 30,
Okay.
although it can appear earlier.
Right.
And it also tends to be more prevalent in women than men.
That's interesting, that age range.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's when a lot of the responsibilities and pressures really start to kick in.
It is.
Careers, families, finances, all that.
You got it, yeah.
I guess it's all interconnected.
It is.
The pressures of that stage of life and
For sure.
and GAD.
But it's also important to remember that the causes are multifaceted.
So there isn't just one root cause.
No. The NIMH publication really suggests it's more like this
Okay.
a web of interconnected factors.
Okay.
Okay. So family history
Okay.
definitely plays a role
Okay.
indicating a genetic component.
So if anxiety runs in your family, you might be more susceptible.
You might be more predisposed. Yeah.
Okay, I get the genetics piece.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest,
Sure.
saying it's my genes
Yeah.
almost feels like a cop-out.
I hear that.
Shouldn't I be able to
Yeah.
manage this regardless?
It's very human, right? To not want to feel powerless.
Yeah.
But remember, it's not about placing blame.
Okay.
It's about understanding, right?
Okay.
Think about it like a predisposition.
Okay.
Like some people are genetically predisposed to high blood pressure.
Right.
You might be predisposed to anxiety.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you're destined to have GAD,
Okay.
but it means you might need to be more proactive
Okay.
about managing stress
Okay.
and building resilience.
Okay. That does make me feel a bit more empowered.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's not just about
Right.
willpower or thinking positive.
Right.
There are these biological factors at play.
It's not just in your head. There's real stuff happening.
Okay, so genetics and brain function.
Mm-hmm.
What else is in this web of factors?
So environmental factors
Okay.
play a significant role as well.
Okay.
So traumatic events or prolonged exposure to high-stress environments
Okay.
can increase the risk of developing GAD.
So I guess it makes sense that if your nervous system is constantly in overdrive,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take a toll.
It's going to take a toll on your mental health.
So the genetic, biological, and environmental
Yeah.
often interact and influence each other.
It's a complex interplay,
It's not a simple one single cause.
very rarely.
So it's this complex interplay that shapes someone's vulnerability to developing GAD.
You got it.
Okay.
And understanding that complexity really helps us move beyond
Okay.
those simplistic explanations
Right.
and embrace a more holistic approach.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a helpful way to frame it.
Totally.
It's about understanding the bigger picture not just focusing on individual symptoms.
Exactly.
And speaking of symptoms,
Sure.
how do we actually know if we should be concerned?
Right.
What are the signs of GAD?
So GAD can manifest in a variety of ways.
Okay.
And it often isn't just
Okay.
this like solely a mental experience.
Oh, okay.
There can be very real physical symptoms,
Okay.
which I think sometimes get overlooked.
Okay, well, let's dive into those signs.
Okay.
What should we be looking out for?
First and foremost, I want to emphasize
Sure.
that this is purely informational.
Of course.
If you're genuinely concerned,
Right.
talk to a healthcare professional.
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
not self-diagnosing.
Not at all.
We're learning.
Understand.
But let's talk about those signs.
Okay, so the NIMH publication
Yeah.
highlights a range of common symptoms,
Okay.
and the most noticeable being
Okay.
excessive and uncontrollable worry,
Okay.
coupled with this awareness
Okay.
that you're worrying more than you should
So it's like you're stuck.
in this loop,
Yeah.
aware that you're overthinking,
Yeah.
but you can't break free.
You're in the spin cycle.
Yeah.
And you can't get out.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've got these physical symptoms like restlessness,
Okay.
constant fatigue, sleep disturbances,
Okay.
muscle tension,
Mm-hmm.
even stomach issues. It can impact your whole body.
You mentioned fatigue earlier,
Yeah.
and I bet a lot of people
Don't connect with me.
wouldn't necessarily connect that with
It's not
anxiety.
the first thing that comes to mind.
They might just think like, oh, I'm overworked. I'm
Yeah.
not sleeping well.
Right. Or I have this medical condition that I haven't figured out yet.
Without realizing the underlying comers could be
Mm-hmm.
anxiety.
Yeah. It's easy to make those assumptions
Yeah.
that it's purely a physical issue,
Right.
when in fact it can be really intertwined with mental and emotional states. That's a great point.
Especially with GAD.
Okay, so we've got the excessive worry,
Yeah.
the physical symptoms.
Mhm.
What else?
So it also impacts
Yeah.
your mental and emotional well-being significantly.
Yeah.
Difficulty concentrating,
Okay.
increased irritability,
Mm-hmm.
a tendency to startle easily.
Wow.
These are all common signs.
It sounds like GAD puts your nervous system on high alert, like you're
Like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
yeah, like
Yeah.
constantly bracing for something bad to happen.
That's a really good way to put it. Your body's in this state of hypervigilance,
Wow.
right? Responding to these perceived threats that your mind is generating.
Okay, and the NIMH publication really stresses that this isn't just a minor inconvenience.
No,
It really deeply impacts your ability to function
it does.
in everyday life.
Work, relationships,
Yeah.
overall quality of life.
And the impact can look different depending on age and life stage. For children and teens, the anxiety often manifests
Yeah.
in excessive worries
Yeah.
about performance.
Especially in school or sports.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember being that age and feeling like everything was life or death. You know, the pressure to fit in and succeed and not mess up.
And the world's watching.
Yeah, I can see how those feelings
Yeah.
could spiral into something more serious
They do.
for someone with GAD.
Those early experiences really shape how we cope with anxiety later in life.
Okay.
And then for adults, those worries often shift to things like job security,
Okay.
health concerns,
Mm-hmm.
financial stability,
Yeah.
the well-being of their families.
Those are pretty universal concerns.
They are.
But it sounds like for someone with GAD, even
Yeah.
seemingly mundane things.
Right. Being late to a meeting,
Yeah.
forgetting a chore
Yeah.
can just trigger this intense anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, those everyday tasks can become disproportionately magnified,
Okay.
lead to significant distress.
This is really painting a clear picture
Yeah.
of what GAD looks like. It's making me think about
Yeah.
my own worry habits,
It's always valuable to reflect on that.
right?
Like, how does worry show up in your life?
Yeah.
Does it feel like that fleeting visitor
Yeah.
or a constant presence that's just weighing you down?
That's a great question
Yeah.
for our listeners to ponder.
A ponder.
Yeah, if worry feels like it's taking over, digging a little deeper
For sure.
is worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Knowing the signs is the first step.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the why?
The why.
Like, what causes GD
Right.
in the first place?
So, as we discussed earlier, the causes are really multifaceted.
Right.
And there's no simple one-size-fits-all answer,
Okay.
you know?
Right.
It's not as straightforward as
Yeah.
identifying a single culprit and eliminating it.
Right. Okay. So
Right.
where do we go from here?
Yeah.
If the causes are so complex. How do we even begin to address them?
Well, that's precisely where understanding that interplay of factors becomes so crucial.
Okay.
It helps us move away from those simplistic solutions and embrace a more holistic approach.
Okay. So instead of searching for a magic bullet,
Right.
we need to look at the
whole picture.
The
whole system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that holistic approach involves a combination of strategies.
Yes.
Both internal and external.
It does.
It's about understanding your individual triggers, building resilience, and accessing the right support systems.
Absolutely.
Now that we've explored what causes GAD, what it looks like, let's turn our attention to how it can be effectively addressed.
Let's do it.
What are some of the treatments available for people who are struggling with this disorder?
Great question.
Before we jumped into the causes and signs, we briefly touched on the two main treatment approaches, psychotherapy and medication.
The big two.
You mentioned that CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, has a strong track record of success.
It does.
In treating GAD. Can you, for someone like me, who's heard the term but doesn't really get it, can you break down how CBT actually works?
Absolutely. So CBT is all about understanding this interconnectedness of your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. It helps you recognize how those three things kind of work together to create this cycle of anxiety. So let's imagine a common scenario. You're facing a big presentation at work.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that.
Right. That kind of classic.
Just the thought of public speaking makes my heart race.
So let's say your first thought is something like, I'm going to mess this up. Everyone will think I'm incompetent.
Those negative thoughts, they can spiral.
They can take over.
Out of control.
And then those negative thoughts, they fuel those anxious feelings.
Right.
The nervousness, the dread, maybe even those physical symptoms. Like the racing heart or the sweaty palms.
It's almost like your body is betraying you.
It feels that way, right?
Reacting in a way that just makes things worse.
Yeah, but it's not betrayal.
It's
your body responding to the threat that your mind has created.
Right.
And then those anxious feelings often lead to these avoidance behaviors.
Oh, I've totally been there.
Right.
Suddenly that urgent email seems way more important than practicing your presentation.
Exactly. You're trying to escape this situation that's causing you distress. But the problem is, avoidance only strengthens the anxiety in the long run.
Because you never actually prove to yourself that you can handle it.
You never get that experience of moving through it and realizing, hey, I can do this.
Right.
And that's where CBT steps in. It aims to break this cycle by helping you identify and challenge those negative thought patterns. Develop healthier coping mechanisms and gradually face those fears in a safe and supportive environment.
It's not about eliminating anxiety.
No, it's not about erasing it. It's about gaining control.
So it's like retraining your brain.
It is.
To respond differently to those triggers.
It's like building new pathways in the brain.
Can you give us a concrete example of how CBT might work?
Sure. So let's stick with that social anxiety example. So a CBT therapist might start by helping you identify the specific thoughts and beliefs that trigger your anxiety in social situations. Maybe it's fear of judgment or a belief that you're not interesting enough.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Right. Those are very common human experiences.
Including myself.
So then the therapist will guide you to challenge those beliefs. They'll ask you to examine the evidence for and against those thoughts. So have you really failed every social interaction you've ever had?
Right.
Are there times when you felt comfortable and engaged? It's about challenging those automatic negative assumptions.
So instead of blindly accepting those I'm going to fail thoughts, you're actively questioning them and looking for a more balanced perspective.
It's about introducing that critical thinking. And CBT goes beyond just challenging thoughts. It also incorporates behavioral techniques.
Like what?
So for social anxiety, a common technique is gradual exposure. This involves slowly and systematically exposing yourself to social situations that trigger your anxiety. Starting with less challenging scenarios and working your way up.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, exactly. It's about building confidence and mastery over time. So maybe you start by having a brief conversation with the cashier.
Okay.
Then you progress to joining a small group activity.
Okay.
And eventually work your way up to attending a larger social event.
Okay.
Each step allows you to practice your coping skills in real-world settings.
Okay.
And gradually desensitize yourself to those anxiety triggers.
It sounds like CBT is all about empowering people.
It is.
To take an active role
Yes.
in managing their anxiety, to give them the tools
Absolutely.
to navigate those situations.
And navigate those choppy waters.
Yeah.
More effectively.
More effectively, yeah.
It's about building resilience, not eliminating anxiety altogether.
Now, you mentioned ACT,
Yes.
acceptance and commitment therapy, as another treatment option for GAD.
Mm-hmm.
How does that approach differ from CBT?
So while CBT focuses on challenging and modifying those thoughts,
Okay.
ACT takes a different path.
Okay.
It operates on the premise that struggling with anxiety is a normal part of being human. In fact, trying to suppress or control those anxious thoughts and feelings can sometimes backfire, making them even more intense.
So with ACT, instead of fighting the anxiety, you learn to accept it.
Acceptance is a key component.
Okay.
But it's not passive resignation.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a mindful awareness of your thoughts and feelings.
Okay.
Without judgment.
Okay.
It's like noticing those thoughts as passing clouds in the sky.
Okay.
You acknowledge their presence.
Right.
Without getting swept away by them.
Okay, so you're becoming an observer of your own mind.
Exactly.
Not getting lost in the whirlwind.
Yeah, you're not getting caught up in the story of those thoughts.
That's a really helpful analogy. It's like if you're not constantly trying to push those anxious thoughts away, they might lose some of their power.
Exactly. What you resist persists, right?
Okay.
So ATT shifts the focus from trying to control your internal experience to taking action in line with your values.
Okay.
So it encourages you to identify what truly matters to you, your core values, and then to act in ways that align with those values.
Okay.
Even when anxiety is present.
So it's about living a meaningful life.
Yeah.
Despite the anxiety. Not waiting for the anxiety to disappear.
Exactly.
Before you pursue your goals.
I got it, yeah.
It seems like both CBT and ACT offer valuable approaches.
You do.
But as you mentioned earlier, choosing the right one is a personal decision.
It is. And what works for one person might not work for another.
So talking to a mental health professional is really essential.
It is.
To figure out which path or combination of paths is right for you.
Absolutely. They can help you navigate that.
So if someone is listening to this and they suspect they might have GAD, their first step should be to seek a professional evaluation.
100%. A mental health professional can assess your symptoms.
Okay.
Make an accurate diagnosis.
Okay.
And guide you toward the most appropriate treatment plan.
And it's important to remember that seeking help is a sign of strength.
It is.
Not weakness.
Not at all.
It's about taking control of your mental health and prioritizing your well-being.
It's an act of self-care.
We've covered the main treatment approaches, but what about those day-to-day moments when anxiety starts to creep in?
Yeah.
What are some practical things?
Yeah, great question.
People can do to manage those feelings?
In real time, yeah. That's where those healthy habits we talked about earlier can really come into play.
Right.
Building a solid foundation of self-care practices can make a significant difference in how you experience and manage anxiety.
So let's dive into those practical strategies. What are some of the most effective tools?
So one of the simplest yet most powerful techniques is deep breathing.
Okay.
So when you're feeling anxious, your breath tends to become shallow and rapid.
Oh, I know that feeling, like you're suffocating. Yeah. Even though you know logically or not.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
That's your body's fight or flight response kicking in.
Oh, okay.
And those shallow breaths are actually signaling to your body that you're in danger.
Okay.
Which only intensifies the anxiety.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle.
Okay.
But by consciously slowing down your breathing, taking deep breaths that fill your belly, you're sending a message of calm to your nervous system.
Okay, deep breaths.
Deep breaths.
Okay. What else?
So mindfulness exercises.
Mindfulness is one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot.
It does. It does.
I'm not sure everyone understands what it means in this context.
So mindfulness is really the practice of paying attention in the present moment without judgment. It's about noticing your thoughts and feelings as they arise without getting carried away by them.
So you're becoming an observer of your own mind.
Exactly.
Not getting lost in the whirlwind of thoughts.
Yeah. There are lots of simple mindfulness practices you can incorporate into your daily routine.
Like what?
One of the easiest is just focusing on your senses.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
So, next time you're feeling anxious, take a moment to just tune into your senses.
Okay.
Feel the ground beneath your feet.
Okay.
Notice the temperature of the air on your skin.
Okay.
Really taste the food you're eating.
So you're anchoring yourself in the present moment.
In the present moment.
Bringing your attention back to your body.
Yes.
And your surroundings.
You're getting out of your head and into your body.
Okay.
And into the world around you.
That sounds so simple.
It is.
Yet so powerful.
It is.
It's like a circuit breaker.
It is. It can be.
For those
thought spirals, yeah.
What other mindfulness techniques can be helpful?
Mindful walking is another great one.
Okay.
So instead of rushing through your day on autopilot, slow down, pay attention to each step.
Okay.
Notice the movement of your body, the sensations in your feet, the sights and sounds around you.
Turning an everyday activity into a mindful experience.
Exactly.
What else?
Exercise.
Okay.
Exercise is a really powerful tool that's often overlooked. When you engage in physical activity, your body releases endorphins, which have these mood-boosting effects.
That the runner's high, so that's a real thing.
It is a real thing, and it's scientifically backed.
Okay.
Regular exercise has been shown to reduce anxiety symptoms, improve sleep, enhance your overall sense of well-being.
So it's taking care of your physical health to build resilience against anxiety.
Gotcha. And it doesn't have to be about intense workouts. Even moderate exercise. Like brisk walking, dancing, gardening. Can make a big difference.
So it's not about punishing yourself at the gym.
Not at all.
It's about finding ways to move that feel good.
That you enjoy, And while we're on the topic of feel-good activities, don't underestimate the power of spending time in nature.
I've always found being in nature to be incredibly calming. But I never really thought about why.
There's a growing body of research suggesting that exposure to nature can lower stress hormones, reduce blood pressure, and improve mood.
It's like nature is a natural antidote.
I love that.
To anxiety.
Whether it's a walk in the park,
okay,
a hike in the woods, or simply sitting under a tree.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature can be incredibly restorative.
Okay, I'm adding that.
Add it to the list.
To my list of must-dos.
Yeah.
So far, we've got deep breathing,
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness,
yeah,
exercise.
It's nature time.
Nature time, yes.
Anything else we should keep in mind?
So sleep.
Okay.
Sleep is another crucial factor.
Okay.
When you're sleep deprived,
yeah,
your anxiety is almost always amplified.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm running on fumes,
yeah,
everything feels harder.
It does.
Including managing my mood.
Right. So establishing a regular sleep routine.
Okay.
Creating a relaxing bedtime ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Getting enough restful sleep.
Mm-hmm.
These are all essential for managing anxiety.
Okay. Sleep is a cornerstone of self-care.
For sure.
What about diet?
Diet plays a role too.
Okay.
So certain foods and drinks can actually exacerbate anxiety symptoms.
Okay, like what?
So we talked about caffeine.
Right.
But it's also wise to limit your intake of processed foods.
Okay.
Sugary drinks.
Okay.
Alcohol.
Okay.
These can create spikes and crashes in your blood sugar and energy levels.
Right.
Which can worsen anxiety.
So fueling your body with nutritious foods is another way to support your mental health.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And staying hydrated is also crucial.
Okay.
Even mild dehydration can impact your mood and energy levels.
Okay.
Making you more susceptible to feeling anxious.
So it's all about building that solid foundation.
Yeah.
Deep breathing, mindfulness, exercise, nature, enough sleep, and a healthy diet.
Sounds like a recipe for a calmer, more balanced life overall.
It does.
Yeah.
The key is to find what works best for you.
Absolutely.
And weave those practices into your daily life.
It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about making sustainable changes.
It's about creating your personalized anxiety management toolkit.
Exactly.
And if you find that these strategies aren't enough, or if your anxiety is particularly severe or persistent, it's important to reach out for professional support.
Absolutely. There's no shame in needing extra help.
Right.
In fact, it's a sign of self-awareness and commitment to your well-being.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to loop back to something we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Support groups.
Yes.
You mentioned that they can be a great resource.
Support groups can be a real lifeline.
Okay.
For individuals dealing with GAD.
Okay.
Offering a safe and supportive environment to connect with others who truly understand the experience.
Because GAD is often an invisible struggle.
Yeah, you might look fine on the outside.
Right.
But inside, you're grappling with this constant worry and anxiety.
Yeah. So support groups offer that space to share your experiences openly without fear of judgment.
Yes, and knowing you're not alone. This can be incredibly powerful.
And support groups provide an opportunity to learn from others who have been there.
Absolutely. You can gain valuable insights into coping strategies, treatment options, ways to navigate the challenges of living with GAD.
So it's like this collective wisdom.
It is.
And then support system where everyone is learning and growing together.
You got it.
For some people, it's a source of hope and inspiration.
It can be.
To see others who have successfully managed their anxiety and are living full and meaningful lives.
And that can be so powerful to witness.
That's encouraging that recovery is possible. Are there different types of support groups for GAD?
There are. You can find both in-person and online support groups. Catering to different preferences and comfort levels. Some are facilitated by mental health professionals, providing structure and guidance, while others are peer-led, offering a more informal setting.
So, something for everyone.
Yeah.
How do you find a support group?
Great question.
That's the right fit.
So, your healthcare provider it can be a great resource for recommendations. You can also search online for support groups in your area or explore national organizations like the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, the ADAA, which has a directory of support groups.
Even the process of finding a support group could be a way to connect.
It can be,
with others who understand what you're going through.
It's a step towards connection and healing.
Right. It's all about taking those steps, however small they may seem, towards a healthier and more fulfilling life.
Beautifully said. And, you know, even if you're not quite ready for a support group, there are other ways to connect. Online forums, social media groups, blogs. All of these can provide a sense of community and shared understanding.
So there are multiple paths to finding support, however you feel most comfortable.
Exactly. And I think that's a really empowering message.
Right.
You're not alone in this.
Right.
There are resources available.
Yeah.
And reaching out in whatever form feels best for you is a sign of strength.
Not weakness.
Not weakness. We've explored a lot today. From the complexities of GAD to the many pathways to healing and well-being.
Yeah, but before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Love it.
If worry feels like it's hijacking your life, like what's one small step you can take this week to reclaim some control? Maybe it's finally scheduling that doctor's appointment you've been putting off, trying a 5-minute breathing exercise, or even just like stepping outside for a walk in the fresh air. What feels doable for you?
I love that it doesn't have to be this huge life-altering change. Even the smallest step in the right direction can create a ripple effect.
It's about recognizing that you have the power to shift things.
You do.
To start building momentum towards a calmer.
More balanced life.
More balanced life. And even if that first step is just continuing to learn more about JD, that's a powerful act of self-care.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
In this case. The more you understand about this condition, the better equipped you are.
Absolutely.
To navigate it.
To navigate it. You know, we've learned that JD is far more than just worrying too much. It has real tangible effects on your mind and body.
But the good news is, it's treatable.
It is treatable. And that's the most important message we want to leave you with today. There is hope.
Yeah.
And there are proven strategies that can help you manage and overcome
This disorder.
this disorder. Yeah, you are not alone on this journey.
We've said that many times.
Oh, I have.
And it's true.
It's true.
Whether it's professional help, support groups, or those daily self-care practices.
Yeah. We talked about there are resources available to help you find peace
Yeah.
and reclaim your life from anxiety.
Absolutely. If you're struggling with this persistent worry that's interfering with your daily life, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Remember, it takes courage and strength to prioritize your mental well-being.
It's a sign that you're taking charge of your health, just like you would with any other aspect of your well-being.
Absolutely. And remember, even small changes can make a significant difference.
Right.
Start with one step. Build on it and keep moving forward.
That's such a powerful reminder that you have that power to create positive change in your life.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into generalized anxiety disorder.
Yeah, we hope you found it insightful
Yeah.
and empowering.
And remember, taking action is key.
Yeah.
Even if it's just learning more. Doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Until next time, take care.
Take care of yourselves.
And keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.